Countdown to Super Bowl 57. Oh, can't wait till Sunday. Solomon Wilcots is here, Emmy Award-winning broadcaster. He's got a great podcast he does. He's doing so many things, and he's also going to tell us about Macy, that is, should I say, a treatment for folks that just like you that's available. But right now, I want to talk about the Super Bowl. And Solomon, it's good to have you back on the show, man. I was just asking Mike this question. I'm curious to know what you think. Does Sunday simply come down to who you trust? Is it Patrick Mahomes or is it Jalen Hurts? Because I look at this game and I'm looking at the line and I'm going, okay, I know what Patrick is about. I've seen him in this game. But as good as Jalen Hurts has been all season long, do you trust him in this moment to be as dynamic as he's been all season long?
Yeah, I to be honest with you, I trust them both. However, you and I both know they both go about beating you in different ways. Jalen Hurts with the design run game that allows them to really activate their entire backfield with the other running backs in Miles Sanders, Kenneth Gainwell, and Boston Scott. But Mahomes is the consummate conductor. Like if you told me if this game came down to the final possession, who could get the ball into the end zone and win it for their team, I think a lot of people, including myself, are going to weigh heavily on the side of Patrick Mahomes.
I know you did the podcast with Eric Bieniemy. We're going to talk more about him in a minute. But this offense and all the weapons, I was wondering, would they ever lose Tyreek Hill and miss him? But it seems like now you lose McCole Harbin. I think they have enough playmakers. I know they're getting Clyde Edwards-Helaire back, but they got all the weapons they need.
Yeah, look, I think they do have the weapons. And if you think about the lost production of one Tyreek Hill, you would think, wow, no way Mahomes is going to be able to come back the next year and throw for over 5,000 yards. No way they're going to be able to lead the league in scoring. We saw offensive production spike in 2022, even though they lose one of the most prolific and most explosive players in Tyreek Hill. Go look at the production, particularly in the passing game, next to the name of Jared McKinnon, and look at what he's done down inside the red zone. Look at how many offensive receptions for touchdowns that he's been able to score. And you could see a lot of that production being moved to Patrick Mahomes being more patient, finding his running backs coming out of the backfield. In that way, I don't know that we're not talking enough about how the running backs match up with the Eagles linebackers coming out of the backfield in the passing game.
I know you do the Believe in Bengals podcast. I'm curious, do you think that the Chiefs defense can get after Jalen Hurts like they did Joe Burrow? Now, we know the Bengals were injured up front and, they were dealing with a lot of things. But, Solomon, are they capable of doing anything close to having Jalen Hurts running for his life that they had Joe Burrow doing his?
Probably not. I mean, let's face it, the Bengals are missing 3 of their 5 starters on that offensive line. This Eagles offensive line is formidable. I mean, they are the truth, led by Jason Kelsey. I think what happens is, if you would ask most defensive coordinators around this league, would you want to face the Jalen Hurts that when you force him to be a pocket passer and see if he could beat you? Or do you want him operating in the RPO system in that run-pass option? They would say, oh, no, we'd rather him be back in the pocket. Even if he had time to throw, we like our odds. And I think the Chiefs are going to first have to stop the RPO game, that run-pass option that seems to keep defenses back on their heels. And I think if I'm Steve Spagnuolo, I'm blowing that up at the mesh point. While they're trying to read and react to what the defense is doing, I'm not allowing them to do that. I'm getting penetration. I'm trying to blow up the run-pass option and force Jalen Hurts to become a pocket passer. You and I both know he's gotten better at that. Right. I think he proved it at the start of the season. But he's gone 3 of the last 4 games without a passing touchdown. And so that's the area that I would be looking to thread the needle, forcing Jalen Hurts to become a pocket passer and prove that he can continue to do it on the biggest stage.
It is Solomon Wilcots, guys. Played safety for the Bengals, played in that great Super Bowl against the 49ers. Joins us here on the waitfor.com hotline. Because there's the rub. Sirianni, this is his first rodeo. Not the first rodeo for Andy Reid as the head coach, but you're right. I think you look at this and you say, the Eagles, you kind of had a charmed path, Solomon. They didn't have to really sweat the Giants, and the 49ers game was pretty much over before it started, and this is going to be a 15-round fight, isn't it?
You guys are right. And, look, I think if we were honest, even before the season started, we thought that the AFC was stacked. that was the gauntlet. And then as the season unfolded, you looked at the NFC and says, it's the Eagles, it's the 49ers, and nobody else. And by the time the Eagles got to the NFC Championship game, they're playing with their fourth quarterback. Now, the Eagles had something to do with that, but they knocked Brock Purdy out, their third quarterback of the season, and got to Josh Johnson, knocked him out. But you and I both know the Eagles have had less resistance in their pathway to the Super Bowl than, say, the Kansas City Chiefs. But here they are. It is a heavyweight fight. Both are number one seeds, and I don't know that any of us are questioning if they're the best team in their conference. And now we're going to have to see who can overcome the other. Will it be the AFC team that I think that had to go through a much more difficult road to get here? We'll see if that wins out on the big stage in this game.
Solomon Wilcots joining us here on Dukes and Bell. Tell us about Macy and what it is and what it does for people.
Well, guys, imagine you're experiencing cartilage knee pain. You know, roughly 12 million people each year go to their doctor complaining about some kind of knee pain. About half of that, 6 million people, end up experiencing cartilage damage. Well, imagine that the doctor can go into your knee and perform a biopsy, pull the healthy tissue from your cartilage, place it on a cartilage membrane and grow it, and then put it back in to insert it in those areas that have been damaged. That's what the Macy procedure is all about by Vericel. You go to Macy.com, MACI.com to find out more. If you are experiencing cartilage damage, you're looking for a doctor in your area, ask them about Macy. You can go to the website, read up about it, and find a doctor in your area that performs the procedure. This is about getting weekend warriors back to going out and having fun and getting people back to their everyday lives, not to mention athletes being able to get back to competition and getting back on the field.
Like that. Yeah, that's part of the deal, man. You can't lose weight if you can't, move and do some cardio, do all that stuff. Take it from us.
That's right.
It is Solomon Wilcots with us, guys, on the waitfor.com hotline. You think this is going to be a high-scoring game, Solomon, on Sunday?
I do. I like both defenses, but I just think the offense and Patrick Mahomes, I think they're that good. I think both teams will be over 20 points for sure. If one team starts to turn it over a little bit more, I think they can find it difficult to hit 30, right? So I think both teams score anywhere between 20 to 30 points. If I had to pick a team that can score over 30 for sure, I think it would be the Chiefs. But I think both teams, think about it. The Eagles have scored 30-plus points in both of their postseason games and held their opponent to 7 points or less in both postseason games. So both teams are capable of lighting it up, but I see both scoring 20 to 25 points each, and that's the floor for both teams.
Solomon, before we let you go, I want to get your thoughts on Andy Reid. It's silly to say he's underrated or underappreciated, but he's been damn good in his career. And here he is in another Super Bowl. We never talk about Andy Reid like we do Bill Belichick. And I'm not saying that, we should based on the fact that Belichick has won a lot more Super Bowls. But consistency and winning, he's done that. He's been one of the most consistent, and he's won a lot of games, and here he is back in another Super Bowl.
He's a program builder, right, guys? I mean, he's done that. Both of these teams have the culture of the organization. The foundation of both organizations starts with Andy Reid. His 14 seasons spent in Philadelphia, I think Jeffrey Lurie will tell you, foundation of what they know to be the winning formula with the Eagles was started back in 1999 with Andy Reid. Since coming over to the Kansas City Chiefs, his 10 seasons playing, and running Clark Hunt's team, they've never experienced this kind of success or run of success ever in the history of the franchise prior to having Andy Reid come over. And now winning, going to 5 straight AFC conference title games, going to the Super Bowl now for the third time in the last 4 years. Andy Reid's got his fingerprints all over both of these franchises. And I think we should celebrate that. I think you bringing it up, I think it's very important, and I think it should not be ignored.
It is Solomon Wilcots with us, guys, here on the waitfor.com hotline. Mentioned you spoke with Eric Bieniemy last week. if the Chiefs win this Super Bowl, because Bieniemy, he interviewed for almost everything. There's only 2 coaching jobs left. I would think Bieniemy with Mahomes, not to pigeonhole it, but wouldn't that be a nice fit in Arizona? But it seems like he's not even mentioned for any of these jobs.
Yeah, I think he'd be a great fit for what Kyler Murray needs, right? I mean, you need a guy like him to help right the ship. I think whoever comes into Arizona, they're going to have to be able to rein in the quarterback, really help him to understand what the culture's like, what being a good teammate is like. And he's got to be a stakeholder along with the head coach of building something special. Eric Bieniemy is that kind of guy. He's that kind of force multiplier. And so we're hoping the best for him. But I think to your point, if the Chiefs win this Super Bowl, don't we have to start mentioning them as a potential dynasty? Don't we have to start mentioning this period of run of success with Andy Reid, Patrick Mahomes, and Eric Bieniemy as sort of this winning formula that cannot be denied? I think it'll be a phenomenal run, and they still have this future out there ahead of them where you're going to have to start to kind of mention them as the next dynasty in the NFL.
Great stuff, Solomon. Continued success, brother. Glad to have you on, and it's always good to hear from you. And check out Macy. Where can they find out more information again?
Yeah, go to www.macy.com, MACI.com. We appreciate you guys having me on. You guys keep up the good work. You do a great job.
Appreciate you, man. As always. Solomon Wilcots, he says both teams will score over 20 points. Mike thinks it's the last possession kind of game. Right. I mean, the build-up to this thing is going to be interesting. But he's right about the Chiefs. Listen, they've been to the championship game now 5 straight years. 3 of the last 4, they've been to Super Bowl. But he only got 1. So that's why I say the pressure's on. You're back. You got the best quarterback in the NFL. Mm-hmm. You're supposed to win this.
Right. And as we said, Andy Reid, and we just kind of give a big – but Andy Reid sometimes gets a little tight in some of these big moments. How are they going to handle it? But you could also argue, even though, the Sirianni coach has been involved in some of these bigger moments with the Eagles, this is now you're the dude. That's you're on the spot. You're the one who's going to make that big decision with the clock ticking down. And how do you handle your business? It'll be very interesting because Reid's been there and done that. You know?
Last time the Eagles won the Super Bowl, Patriots, Brady, they scored a lot of points, right? I mean, Brady threw for 500 yards in that game, and they lost. So Philly special and all that stuff. We'll see what Sirianni's got up his sleeve.